Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkey with StartupTrading.com. It is Monday, July 13, 2020. So looking back at Friday's session real quick, and if you remember, we've been consolidating for the ES for a while the NASDAQ's been breaking out to new all-time highs every time you blink your eyes. So looking at the value, right, the Russell, we opened up in the middle of value, right, kind of got up and then it just consolidated above value but still below the previous day's high. NASDAQ, opened up right at value, the low end of value area high, come back down, traded value area low, right? And then just kind of consolidated, went up, churned through value area high, and then finally broke out above it and the previous day's high, so Thursday's bell high, into the close. Looking at the ES, similar, opening up right in the middle of value, chopped around, come down, tested value area low, come back up, churn through later in the day, finally broke up above value area high, come back, retested it, and then took off. And very similar for the NASDAQ, right? Or the Dow, I'm sorry. Right in the middle of value, churned, didn't get all the way down to value area low, churned, kept getting sucked back into value area high, then finally, broke out into the close. But it did not get above the previous day's high. So you just had the ES and the NASDAQ get above the previous day's high. So looking at it, the ES on a 1600 tick chart with the value areas in the gray zone, high and low for the daily, and the pink and the green for the overnight. This is when the opening bell rings, so this is all your overnight action coming in. So again, like I said, we open up in there, you churn back and forth, you come back down, you touch value area low, come back up, hit value area high, finally churn back around, get out, you retest value area high, and then you take off into the close. But looking at it just as an uptrend channel, right? Once you basically the whole session was just an uptrend channel. Once you hit those basically 1:30, 2 o'clock a.m. lows Friday morning. So we're going to look real quick at what's been going on, and we're going to come back to this slide or this image. But we've been sitting here consolidating since the end of May, basically in this range between 2935 and 3200, basically. And we're sitting here. We're going to open up. You can see right now we're at 3200. We're going to be up here. I have no real significant resistance for another 100 points up. So basically 3296 up to 3306 is my next significant resistance. And you can see there's a big flare out right where this initial gap down was. That's going to be right around 3241, right around the 3240s. So we'll keep that in mind. Looking at the, really what's going on this week and what we want to watch. So looking at this week, and again on the time frames, everything is bullish now except for the shorter time frame, the 5 to 10 day period for the Russell. And it's just neutral. So looking at the news this week that's scheduled, we have basically one red star event for the U.S. equities. That's retail sales Thursday morning at 8:30. But we have a plethora of central banks, right? We have the Bank of Japan overnight, Tuesday night into Wednesday session. Then we have the ECB, right? And then we have the Bank of Canada in here as well this week. So we have, ECB, the Bank of Canada, and the Bank of Japan, all with, different things this week. So ECB is gonna have a little bit of part in, what happens this week. But the big story is earnings. So I want to focus on earnings a little bit. So tomorrow before the bell, we're gonna have Citi, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo. That's gonna impact all the U.S. equities. And then Wednesday before the bell, we're going to have some more banks. We're going to have Goldman Sachs, PNC, USB, And then out of the healthcare, we're going to have United Healthcare. So keep that in mind. Those, again, it's going to affect all the equities. Uh, Wednesday after the bell, American Airlines. So if you've been following Barstool, stocks or whatever he calls himself, he's been basically buying companies that have a high probability of going bankrupt, uh, with the assumption that they're not going to go bankrupt and they're going to recover. So American Airlines is one of those overweighted stocks that he's got his followers into, that Warren Buffett bailed out of. Anyways, their earnings is Wednesday after the bell, so that's going to be a key to watching, how the Robin Hooders do with their pick. That's one of their picks there. So then you got Thursday after the bell, Netflix. That's going to impact the NASDAQ. Do not be in futures between 4 o'clock and 4:15 Thursday after the bell, unless you just want to play Russian roulette, basically. So we'll leave that there for that. You can peruse the rest of the sheet if you're a subscriber to the sheets. Again, so looking back at here, we're trying to break out now up to 3,200. We're going to finally get to these 4 days of islands that were from June 5th to the June 10th. Now that we're getting in here, and then really we should stay above 3,200 now. And then you're going to use 3175 as a line in the sand, right? Getting back under 3175 is just going to take you back down probably through this whole range. And you can see we got a little bit right there at 3140. There could be a last reprieve to bounce higher, so you could get some shaking around in this area. But getting back under basically 3140 is going to be problematic, and we're going to rotate all the way down probably to 2,900 almost. So staying above 3,200, however, we're just going to start churning, and we're going to start knocking out all this area from before we fell, right? So we got the first challenge is going to be around that 3,240, and we're not looking at this session, right? We're looking at over the next week, 2 weeks, filling back in here. Just as I said when we crossed up above 3,000 that we could get stuck between 3,000 and 3,200 for a long period of time, we could actually get stuck in this area between 3,200 and 3,300, which is only 100 points, right? If we don't get over 3,300 with any conviction as it's tested in its initial resistance, right? So now also we're going to watch that ledge right at that 3240. So I think we beat that up. So let's look at the overnight session. 22.5 points. We've got, just looking back at what's happened, again, we see the breakout. And if we look at the level 4s where they are for the day, they're always in play, as extremes, but remember they are extremes. You got 3281 to the downside and 3076 to the downside and 3281 to the upside. Usually 2s and 3s are a little bit more in play than 4s, obviously. So we're in there. So let's zoom into the action. So Friday, right, we had this print. We come back up. We had some trades go off above the bell high of the day, right? Those trades have been supportive. I threw in the chat room that all the overnight lows are in this blue box or above for all 4 of the equity indexes. So that blue box that I've drawn on the chart for you, and basically for most of the indexes, it's going to come right around where the settlement is. So you can just keep your eye on red or green on the screens for these indexes. So looking at all of them, like I said, narrow ranges up here, but we're in an area that we've been trying to get to for a long time. So watching the settlements and to see if we end up turning red on 3 of these, that's going to be a little bit more problematic. But I still think that we're going to find support. Even if you do, I wouldn't get too concerned until you start getting below into value, right? So that's going to be 14.17.5. That's going to be all the way down at 10.762, right? That's a hike down. You've got 31.72 for the ES and 25.835 for the Dow. So I don't really think that's going to be in play today. So let's look at the longer term charts. Again, 32.20, basically 32.19 quarters where I have it marked is the resistance that should come into play around the first test for this 4-day island. But you can see it's only been 4 days up here, and we've spent well over a month under it. So there's not too much resistance other than a physical level or an eyeball level. People are looking at charts, right? There's not too many traders that are left up here in positions that held through all this, that are just waiting to get their money back, that are going to push this market down, right? There's not enough of these up here compared to all these people down here that either are long and happy or short and wrong, right? So watch 32.19 to 32.20. See if we break over that and make a run towards those 32.40s either today or tomorrow. And again, breaking back down into those ranges that we discussed lower, right, is going to be problematic. We're going to rotate basically all the way down to 2,900, I think, if that happens. Looking at the NASDAQ, and there's really not a lot up here, right, because we're in uncharted territory. So I have some support down here, which I don't think we're going to see today, at 10,748 is the next real support. So we'll see how today shapes up. Maybe I can put some support on here for tomorrow. But you're going to have to rely on other technical analysis for targets above and support below that's, before this level. So looking at the Russell, again, 1462.60 for breaking above 1433.40. I don't really have too much in here. You can see every time it's in here, this one was shot a little short. This one, was more than one level. But since we're open up at this resistance, right, we're either going to pop and start filling in this area again, or we're going to start, hitting these levels. If I zoom in here overnight, you can see that we were really supportive on this level at 1421. So, the overnight low is going to be key because that's going to take you down to 1403. Otherwise, I think we just really start backing and filling in there. Looking at the Dow, and I'll just go ahead and zoom in over here and take it up for you. But, very tight range. Again, 26,297 or 300 is my next level above, and you can see resistance, resistance, resistance. So a pop over this should really get us up into this 26,510 area. Might not happen today, but keep in mind that there's not, that should be a good pop, and it should end up getting us to a retest at 27,100 for breaking and holding above 26,300 when it comes. And then you got the little marker at 26,510. So looking back at all the indexes, just get in some thoughts on it. Again, just a reminder of what's important. Red or green on the screens because the settlements are near these levels that we don't want to lose. And then you got the value area low side of value area high. So value area high has a high and a low zone. You're watching that the low side of that should not trade under if we're going to remain bullish. I hope this helps. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.